We got a pretty freaking massive international window coming up for Mexico with friendlies against Japan and South Korea. In this video, I'm going to be first reacting to Mexico's squad for the September window, and then I'll do the individual game previews. I'll give you guys a little fun fact about the history between Japan and Mexico and the history between South Korea and Mexico. How do the teams like to play? What are the matchups that I'm looking forward to? How can Mexico win? What are the objectives? And of course, my score predictions. And I'm going to try to keep this video as concise as possible, which is really difficult for me because I could talk about each of these national teams alone for probably an hour. However, I'm happy to announce that I will be going live for both of these games here on the channel. If you guys don't want to miss those live streams, if you don't want to miss the videos recapping this window, if you just want to see more videos about the Mexican national team in English in the future, if you want videos about Asian football, for the love of God, make sure you're subscribed. Smash the like button, of course, and let me know down below in the comments what would be a successful window for Mexico. You want 6 points, you want 4, you want 5 goals scored, you want 2 clean sheets? Let me know in the comments. I said that I would start with the squad reaction. That's what I'm going to do now. So if you do not care about Mexico's squad, if you are just here, maybe you're Korean, maybe you're Japanese, and you just want to see my preview of these games, go ahead and skip forward. I'll put a big timestamp on the screen now. This is actually going to be a blind reaction. I haven't seen these before. So let's go first to the goalkeepers. We have Luis Malagon, Raul Rangel, and Carlos Moreno from Pachuca. I'm not familiar with that guy at all. Talking point here, Malagon is the starting goalkeeper until further notice. Memo Ochoa is not here. He's 40 years old and he's a free agent. I have no problem with this. I could say Alex Padilla should be here if I'm cherry picking, but we don't got time to dig into those topics here in today's video. Okay, I'm on the defensores now. I see Rodrigo Huescas, Jorge Sanchez, Cesar Montes, Johan Vazquez, Juan Sanchez Purata, don't know who that is, Jesus Orozco Chiquete, Jesus Gallardo, and Mateo Chavez. Notable omission here, and one that I kind of had a feeling was going to happen, is Julian Araujo. Things are not really going well for him right now, and so if we're going purely based on form, then it makes sense for him not to be here. Maybe he's got an injury, but I don't know. Like, Araujo's a guy that never, ever gets consistent minutes with the national team, and I'll be so honest, I would have much rather had him here than Jorge Sanchez, especially when I previewed the Japan match. Huescas is a beast. You know, we know who our center backs are. There's no question about that at all. Honestly, the good news here is that there's no Eric Lira or freaking Jesus Angulo or just an absolute howler that Javier Aguirre could start against two very good attacking teams. I don't know. Overall, the defense is pretty good here. I really feel like this is damning for Araujo personally. Maybe some people, some America fans will be mad that Ramon Juarez isn't in here, but I don't really care too much. Moving on to the midfield, we got to speed this up. Edson Alvarez, what a crazy club situation. Mourinho getting sacked this morning. I'm not going to make a video about that, but damn, what horrible timing. You got to love it. Eric Lira, Marcel Ruiz, Charlie Rodriguez, of course, Oblin Pineda, and Eric Sanchez back in the squad. There is goddamn zero creativity in this midfield. I mean, it is Marcel Ruiz or freaking bust, man. Jack, Eric Sanchez can create too. I don't want to see that man on the field. I'm sorry. He's not World Cup level midfielder. There's no upside anymore. He is who he is. So Mexico have made the decision, I did know this beforehand, that Gilberto Mora is not going to be playing against Japan and Korea. He's going to play for Mexico at the U20 World Cup. That in itself, I feel like, is a controversial decision. You guys let me know if you like that down below. Me, I go back and forth. There's pros and cons to each. If Mexico made the semis or something of the U20, freaking awesome, man. I think that would help his stock. Could it have helped his stock if he got a brace against South Korea or something like that? Maybe, probably not as much. I do think that the World Cup at the youth level is good for player movement abroad. I think Mora already has a reputation after the Gold Cup, making, youngest debut player for the senior Mexican national team. So he already has a little bit of clout. I don't know. I would have loved to have seen him against Japan. I really would have. But I see the reasoning in the Youth World Cup. Again, I won't say any more for the sake of time, but, it is what it is. Moving on to the forwards here, finally, we have Piojo. Diego freaking Lainez made it? Oh, my God. Oh, we're cooked. Chino Huerta, Raul Jimenez, Santi Jimenez, Chucky Lozano's back in the squad. And freaking Germán from Rayados made it, too. All right, so Lainez is back. I don't know why. Has he been cooking for Tigres? Has he finally turned it up? That one's kind of weird to me. I feel like overall this is okay. Some people will be furious that Chucky Lozano's back. I'll be so honest. I don't care because, number one, Chucky Lozano is not as bad as y'all talk about him. Number two, we don't have a locked-in starting left wing and right wing. We don't. We have a locked-in striker in Raul Jimenez. That is it. You could say Alexis Vega's locked up left wing. I would say I softly would support that claim. Who's our right winger, though? We don't have a right winger at all. It's completely wide open. We don't even know if we're playing two men up top because Santi Jimenez is getting benched. Sometimes we play a front two, but we didn't really at the Gold Cup for most of the tournament. We don't know who the right winger is. If it happens to be Chucky Lozano, who's doing well at MLS, he's got like 15 GA this season, I don't care. Could he be worse than Piojo, who did nothing at the Gold Cup and really hasn't done anything since, damn, I don't even remember, probably like friendlies against Germany? I mean, it's been a long time since he freaking did something of note for the national team. Are y'all really going to be mad just because he's in MLS? Like, grow up. I think this is totally fine. Overall, it's a decent squad. We simply don't have good winger depth. That's the problem. And looking at the forwards now, really compared to the midfield where everybody knows, Vargas, Montiel, Gilberto Mora, who the future of the Seleccion's going to be. We're looking at the forwards and we see Santi Jimenez, maybe question mark. We see Chino Huerta, maybe question mark. And that's it, man. We got to get some better attacking talent in here. Let's move on to the actual window now. Enough of the rosters, okay? I put the timestamp down below if you guys wanted to skip it. Don't get mad at me. I love CONCACAF versus AFC debates. They're some of my favorite. And what better window than the United States and Mexico playing two of the top dogs in Japan and South Korea. And while I do think this is important for the United States, they need to save face. They need to recover from the Gold Cup. I already dropped the USA preview. You can check it out. The benefit of recording the Mexico one 2 days later is a lot of squads have been released and there's been a lot of injuries. So you're actually getting the better video here today than the USA fans. Mexico in particular have a reputation as like Asian giant slayers. Mexico has a very good record all time against Asian teams. And while that's awesome, we kind of got to keep that going, right? You can't just have like an illustrious history but be ass cheeks in the present. So for Mexico, there's no excuse to come out here and get 1 point from this window. That would be an L window. To lose to Japan and to draw South Korea is an L. And it's an L not just because of how Mexico has done all time against Asian teams, but because Mexico are back-to-back Gold Cup champions. Mexico are Nations League champions. Mexico are the representative and the face of CONCACAF currently. And as the face and representative of CONCACAF currently, you cannot go out there and have an embarrassing performance, especially now that these games are in North America. And I think the Asian teams are going to be coming for blood here too, because I think they are acutely aware of their reputation in the world and how Asian football is disrespected. And I think they would like nothing more than to silence some of the haters and to beat the crap out of some North Americans, especially with Korea and Japan having lost to Mexico in the Mexico's Asian tour back in 2020. We'll start with the Japan game. And like I said, I could not be more excited for this match. It's just the opportunity to watch my two favorite national teams play each other in a friendly where like really it doesn't matter. I just pray to God nobody gets hurt. I pray it's a good game. I'm going to be sitting there on the live stream. Again, hit subscribe. Drinking sake, drinking tecate, eating a freaking birria taco, if I can even find that in Argentina. I mean, it's going to be absolute peak bliss. A brief history between Mexico and Japan. Now, there have been 6 previous meetings, only 1 win for Japan, which was the first ever one in 1996. It's also when I was born. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. Since then, there have been 5 consecutive victories for Mexico. 2 of those were competitive games at the Confederations Cup, both of them by a scoreline of 2-1. Now, I talked about Mexico's squad already, and there's not a ton of huge omissions. The Japanese squad, on the flip side, is absolutely decimated in the defense, and that's why I think there is an opportunity for Mexico here. I mean, I could read y'all the full list of players who are out, but I think I'm just going to flash it on screen and talk about it for a second. Right now, Japan is going to be fielding a pretty thin midfield. Their starting midfielders are going to be really good, but they don't have a lot of creativity, and the back line is going to be largely experimental. Now, what does that mean? If I'm Mexico, and I'll get into my keys to success now, Mexico, if they want to win this game, I think they need to press Japan. I think they need to put Japan on the back foot, make this makeshift back three who have never played together, make them feel the pressure, especially with some of the personnel that are going to be out there for Japan, namely guys like Ko Itakura, who do not like physical defenders. If I was Javier Aguirre, I would do two things. Number one, I would press Japan, like I just said. Number two, I would start Raul Insanti at the same time, put pressure on the Japanese center backs, play through Jimenez, and I would make the game physical. That's really the best way to rattle Japan. A lot of times, too many teams in Asia show Japan the ultimate respect and don't even try to play footy with them and just sit back in a low block. I think if Mexico sits back in a low block, it's going to be suicide because Japan are one of the best teams in the world at scoring goals from open play. I mean, Mexico could learn a thing or two from how Japan do it. Looking at the last 10 games alone, Japan scored 30 goals. In that same time span, Mexico have 17. So Japan almost have twice as many in the last 10 games against a pretty similar opposition level, I would say. In the midfield, I would start Marcelo Ruiz and Edson Alvarez, but if Aguirre goes with Eric Lira and Edson Alvarez, I will understand why. Because I really think our midfield just needs to be focused on winning the freaking ball back and being aggressive. That is one of the few ways that you can rattle Japan. Some key matchups to watch. Number one, Raul Jimenez versus Ko Itakura. Mexico striker versus Japan center back. I think this is a strong advantage for Mexico, and I honestly don't see Mexico winning this game unless Raul Jimenez gets a goal or an assist, and he's got to be involved in the attack. I'm telling y'all, that's the way to beat Japan. Another key matchup is Kaori Mitoma versus whoever the hell Javier Aguirre starts at right back, and honestly, I don't think it matters if it's Huescas or Jorge Sanchez. I don't really think we have a good matchup there. So the key is to just minimize damage as much as possible, minimize the amount of one-on-ones that Mitoma gets in. But the other side of the field is just as important. Mateo Chavez or Jesus Gallardo versus Takefusa Kubo or Junya Ito could be a bloodbath. So another key for Mexico is really needing to eliminate space and eliminate one-on-ones. My score prediction here is kind of tough because Japan have so many freaking injuries. And look, I'm not excusing Japan. They got to figure it out. They got one of the deepest national team pools, certainly the deepest in Asia, but one of the deepest in all the world. At the same time, you know things are desperate when 38-year-old Japanese legend Nagatomo gets called up, and I thought that man retired. Because of the omissions to Japan's defense, I think Mexico can absolutely score. If Mexico don't score a goal, that is a huge L. I even think that Mexico could potentially score two. It just depends on how aggressive Aguirre wants to get. And please start Johan Cesar Montes. If he starts, what's the guy's name, Huerta and freaking Chiquete in this game, then I think we're cooked. Japan's going to score 3 or 4. Play the starting CBs in this match. This is a crazy difficult score for me to say. I'm kind of thinking Japan will win either 3-2 or 2-1. What terrifies me is really the fullbacks. I just think that is a disaster waiting to happen. Could Mexico get a draw? Absolutely, Mexico could get a draw. But I don't think it would be a 0-0. I think it would be a 2-2. Holding Japan's attack to 1 goal or less, or freaking a clean sheet. I mean, we got to be singing more praise for Johan and Montes as a center back pairing. And honestly, Luis Malagon, it's about goddamn time this guy had something to do. I hope that Japan pepper the goal because this man too often is just shielded by Mexico's defense. I want to see if he's actually good or not. I will give the edge to Japan winning though, because I'm just not sure how aggressive Aguirre is going to be. I kind of feel like he's going to sit back. Moving on to the South Korea game. Now, up until yesterday, again, perk of recording this video this morning, there were really no massive omissions from Korea's squad until last night when Hwang In-bom, arguably their best player in World Cup qualifying, arguably their most important player in the national team right now, just withdrew with a calf injury. And look, spoiler alert, I thought Mexico was going to win this game already, but now without Hwang In-bom, Mexico must win this game. A history between Mexico and South Korea, we played 13 times, 8 wins for Mexico, 4 wins for South Korea, and 1 draw. And unlike Japan, Korea have actually beat us in competitive games before, both at the Confederations Cup, but also at the Gold Cup as an invitee one time. The last match was a 3-2 win in South Korea during that Asian tournament. It was a phenomenal game, and I'm really hoping that this one is going to be similar. Very brief overview of South Korea. They're a heavy possession team, man. They like to possess the ball. They like to rotate. They're going to poke you and prod you. They're very calm. They're very relaxed. I would say the only team that takes their time more in the attack than Japan is South Korea, and that's going to be Mexico's opponent here. Lots of crossing as well. They do have very strong players in the air. They're much more dangerous from set pieces than Japan is, both from free kicks but also from corners, so Mexico need to keep their head on a swivel. My objectives for Mexico and how I think they're going to win this game is, number one, score 2 goals. I think Mexico will probably concede 1 here against South Korea, but I don't think South Korea will be able to score 2, and if they do score 2, then somebody probably made a big mistake or Sung Hyun-min scored a screamer. The second key is keeping a clean sheet. I don't know if this is possible. I actually do not think it will happen. I do think Korea's attack, which is by far the strongest part of the pitch for them, will find a way to get a goal. And I kind of think that because of key number 3, the possession battle, which I think Mexico needs to win. I would like to see Javier Aguirre try to come out and play proper ball in this game. Is it maybe better for Mexico to just sit back and counter? Because I think that's how Mexico would make a run at the World Cup. Yes, there's an argument for that, but I also think there's going to be instances at the World Cup where Mexico are down a goal, they're going up against a low block, against a World Cup caliber team, and they got to find a way through. And I would like to see a little bit of practice now with that in this game, especially with Korea's best midfielder by far being injured. So maybe Marcel Ruiz doesn't start against Japan because Javier Aguirre wants to go full Battleship Destroyer mode with Lira and Edson. Marcel Ruiz must start this game. And I don't think Mexico needs to go with the front 2 here. I would probably just start Raul Jimenez. And I would like to see Chino Huerta start this game as well, because South Korea's counterattacking defense is average at best. I do think Chino's speed could be a factor here. And the fourth key to victory is don't let Sung Hyun-min or Lee Gang-in score. If those 2 gentlemen don't get on the score sheet and Korea still win, that's a pretty big achievement for the Korean national team. I'm expecting this to be a pretty good possession battle, even with Hwang and Bom gone. I'm kind of feeling like South Korea will create 3 to 5 good chances this game, and Mexico will create somewhere between 5 to 7. The midfield matchup is not going to be as marquee as I was hoping it was going to be, but it still should be a good one, and I expect Mexico to be able to control the game now. You should also expect a lot of really fun one-on-one battles out wide, because again, Mexico's fullbacks, not fantastic defensively, going up against the greatest Asian player of all time, and if it's not the greatest Asian player of all time, you get Hwang Hee-chan in the Premier League, and if it's not him, then it's Jun Hoon-bae in the championship, and on the other side is Lee Gang-in, and there's a lot of tools for South Korea to use. And I'm expecting pretty significant rotation from both teams because Korea's playing USA first, we're playing Japan first. So I am expecting, Hwang Hee-chan to maybe start this game. I'm not expecting Johan and Montes to start both matches. I'm not expecting, maybe Edson won't even start both games. Raul might sit. Like, there's going to be a lot of pieces moving. And whenever you just throw out a bunch of new guys, mistakes are going to be made, and we're probably going to see a few more goals. For all those reasons, I do think Mexico's going to win this one 2-1. I think a great result for Korea here would be a 2-2, and it's not an impossibility because set pieces, man, wow, they are terrifying. And Eric Lira loves to concede a dumbass set piece. Honestly, the team overall just loves giving the other team an opportunity to score from outside the box. I mean, look at the Gold Cup against the United States, and Korea got some big players in the team, man. Like, aerially, they are scary. So yeah, out of respect for South Korea, I do think it's going to be a 2-1, meaning the most likely scenario for me is Mexico have 1 win, 1 loss from this window and walk out of there with 3 points, which I think would be a successful window, especially if some of those mini objectives against Japan are achieved. That's really what I care about. Anyways, guys, that's the video. You guys let me know how you see these games going down. Again, I'll be live for both of them on the channel. I cannot freaking wait. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button. Let me know your takes down below in the comments, and I'll see y'all in the next one.